Good morning. Today's Bible reading comes from Numbers 19 through 21. God spoke to Moses and Aaron. This is the rule from the revelation that God commands. Tell the people of Israel to get a red cow, a healthy specimen, ritually clean, that has never been in harness. Present it to Eleazar the priest. Then take it outside the camp and butcher it while he looks on. Eleazar will take some of the blood on his fingers and splash it 7 times in the direction of the tent of meeting. Then under Eleazar's supervision burn the cow, the whole thing, hide, meat, blood, even its dung. The priest then will take a stick of cedar, some sprigs of hyssop, and a piece of scarlet material and throw them on the burning cow. Afterwards, the priest must wash his clothes and bathe well with water. He can then come into the camp, but he remains ritually unclean until evening. The man who burns the cow must also wash his clothes and bathe with water. He also is unclean until evening. Then a man who is ritually clean will gather the ashes of the cow and place them in a ritually clean place outside the camp. The congregation of Israel will keep them to use in the water of cleansing and absolution offering. The man who gathered up the ashes must scrub his clothes. He is ritually unclean until evening. This is to be a standing rule for both native-born Israelites and foreigners living among them. Anyone who touches a dead body is ritually unclean for 7 days. He must purify himself with the water of cleansing on the 3rd day. On the 7th day he will be clean, but if he doesn't follow the procedures for the 3rd and 7th days, he won't be clean. Anyone who touches the dead body of anyone and doesn't get cleansed desecrates God's dwelling and is to be excommunicated. For as long as the water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on him, he remains ritually unclean. This is the rule for someone who dies in his tent. Anyone who enters the tent or is already in the tent is ritually unclean for 7 days. And every open container without a lid is unclean. Anyone out in the open field who touches a corpse, whether dead from violent or natural causes, or a human bone or a grave, is unclean for 7 days. For this unclean person, take some ashes from the burnt absolution offering and add some fresh water to it in a bowl. Find a ritually clean man to dip a sprig of hyssop into the water and sprinkle the tent and all its furnishings. The persons who are in the tent, the one who touched the bones of the person who was killed or died a natural death, and whoever may have touched the grave. Then he is to sprinkle the unclean person on the 3rd and 7th days. On the 7th day he is considered cleansed. The cleansed person must then scrub his clothes and take a bath. By evening he is clean. But if an unclean person does not go through these cleansing procedures, he must be excommunicated from the community. He has desecrated the sanctuary of God. The water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on him, and he is ritually unclean. This is the standing rule for these cases. The man who sprinkles the water of cleansing has to scrub his clothes. Anyone else who touched the water of cleansing is also ritually unclean until evening. Anything the ritually unclean man touches becomes unclean, and the person who touches what he touched is unclean until evening. In the 1st month, the entire company of the people of Israel arrived in the wilderness of Zin. People stayed in Kadesh. Miriam died there, and she was buried. There was no water there for the community, so they ganged up on Moses and Aaron. They attacked Moses. We wish we'd died when the rest of our brothers died before God. Why did you haul this congregation of God out here into the wilderness to die, people and cattle alike? And why did you take us out of Egypt in the first place, dragging us into this miserable country? No grain, no figs, no grapevines, no pomegranates, and now not even any water." Moses and Aaron walked from the assembled congregation to the tent of meeting and threw themselves face down on the ground, and they saw the glory of God. God spoke to Moses, "Take the staff, assemble the community, you and your brother Aaron. Speak to that rock that's right in front of them, and it will give water. You will bring water out of the rock for them. Congregation and cattle will both drink." Moses took the staff away from God's presence as commanded. He and Aaron rounded up the whole congregation in front of the rock. Moses spoke, "Listen, rebels. Do we have to bring water out of this rock for you?" With that, Moses raised his arm and slammed his staff against the rock. Once, twice. Water poured out. Congregation and cattle drank. God said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you didn't trust me, didn't treat me with holy reverence in front of the people of Israel, you two aren't going to lead this company into the land that I am giving them." These were the waters of Meribah, bickering, where the people of Israel bickered with God, and he revealed himself as holy. Moses was only to strike the rock once, but he struck it twice. That was his sin. Moses sent emissaries from Kadesh to the king of Edom with this message, a message from your brother Israel. "You are familiar with all the trouble we've run into. Our ancestors went down to Egypt and lived there a long time. The Egyptians viciously abused us, both us and our ancestors. But when we cried out for help to God, he heard our cry. He sent an angel and got us out of Egypt. And now here we are at Kadesh, a town at the border of your land. Will you give us permission to cut across your land? We won't trespass through your fields or orchards, and we won't drink out of your wells. We'll keep to the main road, the King's Road, straying neither right nor left until we've crossed your border." The king of Edom answered, "Not on your life. If you so much as set a foot on my land, I'll kill you." The people of Israel said, "Look, we'll stay on the main road. If we or our animals drink any water, we'll pay you for it. We're harmless, just a company of footsore travelers." He answered again, "No, you may not come through." And Edom came out and blocked the way with a crowd of people, brandishing weapons. Edom refused to let them cross through his land, so Israel had to detour around him. The people of Israel, the entire company, set out from Kadesh and traveled to Mount Hor. God said to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor at the border of Edom, "It's time for Aaron to be gathered into the company of his ancestors. He will not enter the land I am giving to the people of Israel, because you both rebelled against my orders at the waters of Meribah. So take Aaron and his son Eleazar and lead them up Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's clothes from him and put them on his son Eleazar. Aaron will be gathered there. Aaron will die." Moses obeyed God's command. They climbed Mount Hor as the whole congregation watched. Moses took off Aaron's clothes and put them on his son Eleazar. Aaron died on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. The whole congregation, getting the news that Aaron had died, went into 30 days of mourning for him. The Canaanite king of Arad, ruling in the Negev, heard that Israel was advancing up the road to Atharim. He attacked Israel and took prisoners of war. Israel vowed a vow to God. "If you will give this people into our power, we'll destroy their towns and present the ruins to you as a holy destruction. God listened to Israel's prayer and gave them the Canaanites. They destroyed both them and their towns, a holy destruction. They named the place Hormah, holy destruction. They set out from Mount Hor along the Red Sea road, a detour around the land of Edom. The people became irritable and cross as they traveled. They spoke out against God and Moses. Why did you drag us out of Egypt to die in this God-forsaken country? No decent food, no water. We can't stomach this stuff much any longer. So God sent poisonous snakes among the people. They bit them, and many in Israel died. People came to Moses and said, We sinned when we spoke out against God, and you pray to God. Ask him to take these snakes from us. Moses prayed for the people. God said to Moses, Make a snake and put it on a flagpole. Whoever is bitten and looks at it will live. So Moses made a snake of fiery copper and put it on top of a flagpole. Anyone bitten by a snake who then looked at the copper snake lived. The people of Israel set out and camped at Oboth. They left Oboth and camped at Ai Arabim in the wilderness that faces Moab on the east. They went from there and pitched camp in the Zered Valley. Their next camp was alongside the Arnon River, which marks the border between Amorite country and Moab. The Book of the Wars of God refers to this place. Waeb and Suphah, the canyons of Arnon, along the canyon ravines that lead to the village Ar, and lead Har against the border of Moab. They went on to Beer, the well, where God said to Moses, Gather the people, I'll give them water. That's where Israel sang this song. Erupt well, sing the song of the well sunk by princes, dug out by the people's leaders, digging with their scepters and staffs. From the wilderness, the route went from Mattanah to Nahalil to Bamoth, the heights, to the valley that opens into the fields of Moab, from where Pisgah, the summit, rises and overlooks Jeshimon, wasteland. Israel sent emissaries to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, Let us cross your land. We won't trespass onto your fields or drink water in your vineyards. We'll keep to the main road, the king's road, until we're through your land. But Sihon wouldn't let Israel go through. Instead, he got his army together and marched into the wilderness to fight Israel. At Jahaz, he attacked Israel, but Israel fought hard, beat him soundly, and took possession of his land, from the Arnon all the way to Jabbok, right up to the Ammonite border. They stopped there because the Ammonite border was fortified. Israel took and occupied all the Amorite cities, including Heshbon and all its surrounding villages. Heshbon was the capital city of Sihon, king of the Amorites. He had attacked the former king of Moab and captured all his land, as far north as the river Arnon. That is why the folk singers sing, Come to Heshbon to rebuild the city, restore Sihon's town. Fire once poured out of Heshbon, flames from the city of Sihon, burning up Ar of Moab, the natives of Arnon's heights. Doom, Moab. The people of Chemosh done for. Sons turned out as fugitives, daughters abandoned as captives, to the king of the Amorites, to Sihon. Oh, but we finished them off. Nothing left of Heshbon as far as Dibon. Devastation as far off as Nophah, scorched earth all the way to Medeba. Israel moved in and lived in Amorite country. Moses sent men to scout out Jazer. They captured its villages and drove away the Amorites who lived there. Then they turned north on the road to Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, marched out with his entire army to meet Moses in battle at Edrei. God said to Moses, "Don't be afraid of him. I'm making a present of him to you, him and all his people and his land. Treat him the same as Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon." So they attacked him, his sons, and all the people. There was not a single survivor. Israel took the land. And that is it for today's Bible reading. I hope you recognized in the verse in verses 21, 8 through 9. And I'm going to read those again. God said to Moses, "Make a snake and put it on a flagpole. Whoever is bitten and looks up at it will live." So Moses made a snake of fiery copper, put it on top of the flagpole. Anyone bitten by a snake who then looked at the copper snake lived. That is an indication of Christ's suffering on the cross for us. So I hope you can see from the very beginning of this book, the Bible, God foretells of Jesus Christ and the gift of salvation that we have. As always, if you haven't talked with God today, take a few moments to talk with God, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.